Welcome back to Leo's Daily English. Before we get into today's topic, if you find our episodes helpful, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you these deep dives. Today, Chloe and I are unpacking the invisible architecture of making plans. We're going to look at why a simple phrase like, "Come to cinema with me," can feel more like a military command than a friendly invitation. We'll explore how to use soft invitations and pre-checks to navigate social risks while protecting everyone's face and autonomy.
I'm so ready for this, Leo. It's fascinating how microscopic shifts in our grammar can completely change the power dynamic of a conversation. Whether you are an English learner or just someone who wants to be more socially savvy, these tools are game changers for building new connections without the fear of rejection. Let's dive in.
If you're listening to this right now, you are likely someone who pays really close attention to the mechanics of everyday life.
Right.
You're the kind of person who doesn't just want to know what to say, but why we say it. How those, tiny choices ripple out into our relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today, our mission is unpacking a brief but incredibly insightful text about navigating social situations. Specifically, a guide titled How to Invite Friends Out in English.
Which sounds basic, but...
Right. I know what you might be thinking. You might be sitting there saying, I know how to ask someone to grab a coffee. Why do we need an entire deep dive into this?
It's a fair question.
But as we started looking at these specific examples, we realized it's this perfect lens for examining a much bigger issue. It's really an exploration of how we handle vulnerability, how we manage social risk, and how microscopic shifts in our grammar can completely change the power dynamic of a conversation.
Exactly, because that is the exact tension that makes these guidelines so interesting to analyze. At the very center of this topic is a core human dilemma.
Yeah.
On one hand, we have this universal, deeply ingrained desire to make friends, to build community, right?
We all want that connection.
But constantly battling against that desire is a very real, very potent anxiety about initiating that contact. The guidelines we're looking at highlight a specific fear. The fear of suggesting a meeting and sounding too direct.
It's too direct, yeah.
And that fear isn't irrational. This isn't just about picking the right vocabulary words from a list for English learners. It's about the invisible architecture of making plans.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because that specific friction, wanting to connect but being terrified of coming on too strong, is something I think literally everyone has experienced.
Oh, definitely.
Think about it. You, listening right now, picture a recent time you met someone new. Maybe it was a new coworker you instantly clicked with, or, I don't know, someone you chatted with at a neighborhood gathering.
You have that initial spark.
Right, that easy banter. You think, I would actually really like to be friends with this person.
But then you hit the wall.
Exactly. The moment you decide to take that step, to transition from friendly acquaintance to actual friend I make plans with, this massive psychological hurdle appears.
You have to formulate the invitation.
And the fear of sounding too aggressive or just socially awkward, it suddenly paralyzes you. Why is that? Why is being direct seen as a danger zone when we're trying to make a friend?
What's fascinating here is that in the context of building new personal relationships, extreme directness often clashes with our deep-seated need for autonomy.
Autonomy.
Yeah. In sociology and linguistics, there's a concept known as face saving. We all have a desire to be liked and connected, which is our positive face.
Okay.
But we also have an equally strong desire not to be imposed upon, not to be cornered. We want to maintain our freedom of choice, and that's our negative face.
So when you're too direct,
You threaten that negative face. When you use highly direct language to make a social request, especially early in a relationship where a baseline of trust hasn't been established, you are essentially stripping away their protective armor.
wow.
A direct approach forces a very immediate binary choice. Accept my plan or reject my plan. And by extension, accept me or reject me.
And if they have to reject you, it creates immediate friction.
Precisely. So the fear of sounding too direct is actually a highly evolved social instinct. Your brain recognizes that you need to mitigate the risk of rejection, not just for your ego, but to protect the comfort of the person you're trying to befriend.
That makes so much sense. It's like in a business meeting, directness is efficient because the boundaries are defined.
Right. The roles are set.
But in a budding friendship, the boundaries are still being negotiated. If you charge in too fast, you risk knocking the whole structure down.
You really do.
And this brings us right to the first major point in the source material. The guide actually provides a very stark, specific example of what happens when we ignore this instinct.
The overly direct example.
Yes. The phrase they highlight as a prime example of a problematic approach is this: come to cinema with me.
Oh, wow.
Just want to pause and let that hang in the air for you to hear.
Yeah.
Come to cinema with me.
It's jarring.
It's incredibly brief, it gets straight to the point, but it feels entirely wrong for a casual invitation, doesn't it?
It does, and the reason it feels wrong is rooted entirely in its grammatical structure. Come to cinema with me is an imperative sentence. Structurally, it's a command.
Like military orders.
Exactly. It's the exact same grammatical format a teacher uses when saying, open your books, or a police officer uses when saying, step out of the car.
Yikes.
When you use an imperative to initiate a social interaction, you are entirely removing the element of choice from the equation, at least on a linguistic level.
You aren't asking for their company.
You are directing them to provide it.
Yeah.
And that completely validates the anxiety we just talked about. This is the absolute epitome of sounding too direct.
Right. And I want you, the listener, to really put yourself in the shoes of the person hearing that phrase. Imagine you're at a coffee shop, you had a nice 5-minute chat with someone in line, and suddenly they look at you and say, come to cinema with me.
You'd freeze.
You would. How does your body physically react? Even if you love movies, your immediate visceral reaction is going to be defensive. You physically lean back.
It feels like an ambush.
It feels like a sudden obligation just dropped onto your shoulders.
Exactly. The physiological reaction you're describing is the manifestation of that threat to autonomy. The listener feels cornered. But I think it's crucial to look at this from the speaker's perspective as well, because it's rarely malicious.
No, usually they're just nervous.
Right. The person blurting out, come to cinema with me, almost certainly has wonderful intentions. They want to share an experience, but maybe they lack the subtle linguistic tools to frame it properly, which is common for English beginners, or their own social anxiety is taking over.
Just ripping off the Band-Aid.
Yes, rushing through the invitation just to get it out, and it comes out as this blunt, forceful command. And the guide notes this is a very common beginner mistake.
That is such a great point. It's the friction between a warm intention and a clumsy execution. They want to say, I enjoy your company, but it comes out sounding like a subpoena.
That's a perfect analogy. And the tragic irony is that by letting their anxiety push them into a direct command, they manifest the exact rejection they feared. The recipient feels trapped, so their immediate instinct is to look for the nearest exit.
Now, the source guide specifically emphasizes that in American and British culture, this directness is incredibly awkward.
Yes, the cultural context is huge here. In some cultures, a direct statement like this might be interpreted as warmth inclusion or treating someone like family.
Like, of course you're coming with me.
Exactly. But in standard English social dynamics, especially US and UK cultures, polite indirectness is the expected lubricant for new interactions. Without it, the gears grind to a halt.
I do want to play devil's advocate for just a second, though, because I'm thinking about my own life, and I absolutely use imperative commands with my close friends all the time.
Sure.
I'll text my best friend and say, get over here. We are ordering pizza and watching a movie. And it's not rude at all. So is the direct approach always dangerous?
That is a highly important distinction. No, the direct approach is not inherently evil. What you're describing with your best friend is an interaction built on a massive foundation of established trust.
The old friend versus new friend dynamic.
Exactly. When you have a deep, long-standing relationship, the face-saving protocols drop. The mutual affection is proven, so you don't need the linguistic scaffolding of polite indirectness. They know they can comfortably tell you, no, I'm tired, without damaging the friendship.
But the guide we're looking at is tailored for beginners trying to make new friends.
Right. When you are inviting an acquaintance, that foundation of trust doesn't exist yet. You have to use the scaffolding. Assuming the privileges of a best friend before you've earned that status is what makes the direct approach so jarring.
That makes perfect sense. You can't fast forward intimacy by using casual, commanding language. It just backfires.
It really does.
So if we all agree that barking come to cinema with me is a terrible strategy for a new acquaintance, how do we fix it? The notes provide a very clear alternative. They introduce the art of the indirect invitation.
And this is where the grammar shifts.
Yeah, the first shift they suggest is moving away from the command and using this phrase instead. Would you like to go to the cinema?
Much better.
Let's just hold that up against the first one. Come to cinema with me versus would you like to go to the cinema? You can feel the temperature of the room drop just hearing the second one.
It breathes.
It feels so much more comfortable.
Yeah.
What are the actual mechanics of why that second phrase works so much better?
The shift here is incredibly elegant in its simplicity. By changing the sentence from an imperative command to an interrogative question, and specifically by introducing the modal verb would alongside like to, you fundamentally alter the power dynamic.
You're no longer demanding an action.
You're inquiring about a preference. Would you like to immediately and explicitly acknowledges the other person's agency? It centers their feelings, their comfort, and their desires.
It transforms the interaction from a demand into an offering. I love that framing.
It is an offering.
It's like you're holding a gift out in your open hands rather than shoving it into their chest. You put the idea of the cinema in the space between the two of you, giving them the room to evaluate it.
Precisely. And by framing it as a hypothetical, you lower the immediate stakes. It says, I have this idea, but your autonomy is the most important factor here.
And if they say no, they aren't defying a command.
Right, they're simply stating a preference. This perfectly addresses the dilemma we started with. It allows the inviter to suggest a meeting without triggering defensive mechanisms.
And the source guide actually broadens this out beautifully to other daily plans. It's not just the cinema.
Right, it's a template.
Exactly. The guide shows how to plug in any activity. Would you like to grab a coffee? Would you like to get lunch this week? Would you like to join us for a walk in the park?
It's a universal formula.
And to make it even more natural, the text emphasizes adding a little small talk first.
Right.
You don't just walk up to someone silent and say, would you like to grab a coffee?
No, that's still a bit robotic.
The guide has this great little exercise for beginners where they practice the lead up. Just a simple, hey, how's your week going? Oh, pretty good, just busy. Yeah, me too. Hey, by the way, would you like to grab lunch on Thursday?
It pads the interaction. It warms up the social engine before you put it in gear.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Because the guidelines acknowledge that even a polite question like, would you like to go to the cinema, might still carry a bit too much pressure for certain situations.
Especially if they're hesitant people.
Right. If you ask that and they say no, it can still sting. So the source introduces another strategy, a phrase that operates on an even higher level of social chess. The phrase is, are you free this Saturday?
Ah, yes. Are you free this Saturday? When we look at the sociology of making plans, this phrase is a masterclass in indirect navigation.
Let's break this down.
If we synthesize this with the would you like to approach, we see a highly sophisticated two-step method for managing social risk. Asking, are you free this Saturday, acts as a vital social buffer.
How does it buffer?
What it does is completely separate the inquiry about the person's availability from the actual pitch of the activity.
I really want to break this down for you, the listener, because understanding this two-step process is a massive game changer for social anxiety.
It really is.
Think about the risk involved in a single-step invitation. If I walk up to you and say, would you like to get dinner on Friday? And you say, no, I can't. I am left in a state of agonizing ambiguity.
You don't know why they said no.
Exactly. Are you genuinely busy? Do you hate the restaurant I suggested? Or do you just not want to spend time with me? The ambiguity is where the anxiety lives.
But the pre-check fixes that.
Right. If I use the pre-check strategy, if I start by asking, are you free this Friday? I am testing the waters in a completely low-stakes way.
That is exactly the psychological mechanism at play. It allows you, the inviter, to gauge the potential friend's schedule and general openness before you ever reveal the specific plan.
You secure the chronological real estate first.
Exactly. If they respond with, no, I'm completely swamped this Friday, the interaction ends smoothly right there. No specific activity was ever rejected, which means no personal rejection is felt.
You didn't put your taste in restaurants on the line?
And they didn't have to awkwardly explain that they're trying to save money and can't eat out. The buffer protects both of you.
It's brilliant. Now, the curriculum actually turns this into a quick listening challenge for the students, focusing just on hearing the time and place.
Oh, that's a clever teaching tool.
Yeah, I want to try a version of it for you, the listener. I'm going to say 2 quick sentences. Just see if your brain immediately catches the specific availability being asked for. Ready? Hey, are you free on Thursday evening around 7? Or what about Saturday morning for a quick coffee?
It trains the ear to listen for the logistical hooks. Thursday evening at 7, Saturday morning.
Exactly. And the guide emphasizes asking for specific free time. Not just are you free ever, but are you free next Tuesday afternoon? It grounds the conversation.
But I do have to push back slightly here, or at least introduce a caveat,
Okay, what's the caveat?
because I think a lot of people listening have been on the wrong end of this exact question. Have you ever had someone ask, are you free this Saturday? And you, trying to be polite, say, yes, I am.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
And then they immediately spring a trap on you. Like, great, I need help moving a couch up 3 flights of stairs.
Yes, the conversational trap.
Suddenly, because you already admitted you were free, you are completely boxed in. You can't use time as an excuse anymore. Doesn't asking, are you free, run the risk of feeling manipulative if you aren't careful.
That is an excellent point, and it highlights the danger of misusing indirect language. When the pre-check is used as a trap, it breeds resentment, not friendship.
The key to using are you free ethically is the immediate follow-through.
The guide actually provides a script for this to ensure learners don't fall into that trap. How should that dialogue actually flow to keep it feeling safe and natural?
The ideal flow goes something like this. You start with the brief, warm greeting to establish connection. Hey, it was great chatting with you earlier. Then, the pre-check. Are you free this Saturday afternoon?
Let's say I reply, yeah, I think I'm free, why?
Now, you immediately deploy the soft invitation we discussed earlier. I was thinking of trying that new coffee shop downtown. Would you like to go?
Ah, I see.
By combining the pre-check with the soft would you like to, you've removed the scheduling friction and maintained their autonomy regarding the actual activity.
Because even though they're free, they can still say, oh, I don't really drink coffee, but maybe we could do something else.
Exactly. It keeps the dialogue open and collaborative.
It's a collaborative process, not a hostage negotiation. And it's so empowering. If you struggle with the fear of rejection, using this pre-check is your best defense.
It gives the other person an incredibly easy, face-saving way out if they aren't interested.
Oh, I'm busy. Boom. Done. No harm, no foul. You protect your ego, they protect their boundaries, and the potential for the friendship remains completely intact.
You haven't made it weird.
Right. So you can easily try again in a few weeks. It perfectly balances the desire to connect with the need for emotional safety.
It does, and it demonstrates a profound truth about human interaction. The literal words we say are often less important than the subtext we are communicating.
Which is what?
The subtext is, I value you, I want to spend time with you, but I respect your boundaries more than I desire your compliance.
That's beautiful.
Constructing that safe framework is essential. However, that framework is only half built if we only focus on how to ask.
Right.
A truly safe social environment requires an understanding of not just how to move forward, but how to gracefully stop. Which brings us to the crucial second half of the guidelines we're examining.
Yes. Because you absolutely cannot have a deep dive on invitations without talking at the other side of the interaction. The guide doesn't just leave the learners hanging after the question is asked.
It pivots to handling the response.
It explicitly emphasizes polite ways to say no. And they even make sure to include full accept and reject responses so beginners have the complete toolkit.
Which is vital.
Now, when I first thought about this, I found it a bit counterintuitive. If the goal is making friends, why are we spending time practicing how to reject people? Shouldn't we just be focusing on getting to yes?
If we connect this to the bigger picture of social dynamics, it becomes undeniably clear that interaction is a two-way street.
Okay.
The vulnerability, the fear of awkwardness, and the desire for face-saving exist on both sides of the conversation. When you invite someone out, you initiate that delicate dance.
Right.
But if the person receiving the invitation feels like they cannot comfortably, safely, and politely decline, the entire dynamic instantly becomes fraught with tension.
That's so true.
Practicing polite refusals is absolutely vital because it's the mechanism that protects the overarching relationship when the specific immediate logistics simply do not align.
I really want you listening right now to search your memory. Have you ever said yes to an invitation, maybe to a party or dinner, that you deeply, fundamentally did not want to attend, simply because you couldn't figure out how to say no without feeling rude?
I think everyone has experienced that scenario.
Exactly. And what happens next? You spend the days leading up to the event filled with dread. You might end up resenting the person who invited you.
Even though it's not their fault.
Right. Or worse, the anxiety builds up so much that you end up flaking at the last possible minute, sending a panic text an hour before you're supposed to meet.
And that damages the trust infinitely more than a polite no ever would have.
Mastering the art of the polite refusal is actually a superpower for building long-term friendships. The source material highlights this because being able to decline gracefully proves that the connection is stronger than a single mismatched event.
Furthermore, when we analyze what makes a polite way to say no, we see the exact same principles of softening and indirectness that we saw in the invitations.
It's all connected.
Just as come to cinema with me is too abrasive, a blunt no, I will not go to the cinema is equally abrasive. It feels like a door being slammed in someone's face.
So what's the formula for a polite refusal in English?
A truly polite refusal usually contains 3 distinct components to maintain social equilibrium. First, an expression of gratitude for the invitation.
Okay, perfect.
Second, a soft, non-offensive reason for declining. And third, ideally, a suggestion for a future alternative.
The text actually provides a slow-speed demonstration of this exact sentence structure for beginners.
Yeah.
I want to play the role of the nervous learner here and try it at that deliberate, slow pace.
Let's hear it.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much for the invite. I would really love to, but I am completely booked up this weekend. Could we maybe try for lunch next week instead?
Spot on. Let's break down why that works so well, even when spoken slowly.
Yeah, hearing that, I don't feel rejected at all.
Exactly. I started with appreciation. Thank you so much. I'd really love to. This validates your positive face. It tells you that your desire to connect is reciprocated.
And the soft reason.
I'm completely booked up this weekend. I'm blaming an external circumstance, my schedule, not a lack of interest in you.
And finally, the alternative.
Could we try for lunch next week instead? This is the most crucial part for maintaining a budding friendship. It signals that while this specific weekend is a no, the overall prospect of spending time together is still a resounding yes.
It shifts the burden of the next invitation onto the person declining, which relieves any awkwardness.
It's like you're playing a game of tennis.
Ew, I like that.
I hit the ball over the net with the invitation. You can't return it right now, but instead of just letting the ball roll away, you pick it up and toss it gently back over the net, saying, "Let's pause, we'll serve again next week."
The game is still on. And the source actually includes a really practical section here. It provides phrases for when the learner doesn't quite catch the invitation the first time.
Oh, that's crucial for beginners.
Because panic can set in. They teach phrases like, "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" Or, "Could you speak a little slower, please?" Which just buys you time to process the invitation without defaulting to a panicked yes or no.
It's all about managing the pace of the interaction.
And speaking of pace, the guide actually sets up 2 role plays of increasing difficulty to really drill this in. I think we should run through them for the listener just to demonstrate the flow.
Let's do it. Role play number 1 is the easy, straightforward acceptance. I'll initiate.
Sound good.
Hey, we're grabbing some coffee after work. Are you free to join us?
Oh, yeah, I'm free. That sounds great. Thanks for inviting me.
Perfect. Short, sweet, confirms availability and gratitude. Now for role play number 2, the harder one. This involves proposing an alternative time. I'll ask again.
Okay, hit me.
Hey, are you free this Friday for dinner?
I would love to, but I actually have plans this Friday. Are you free on Saturday instead?
See, that's excellent. You softened the rejection, provided the reason, and immediately volleyed back with an alternative.
The tennis match continues. And, a huge part of modern communication isn't even spoken. The notes actually throw in a brief section on using text or email to send these invitations.
That introduces a whole new layer of complexity.
It does, because with online communication, you lose all the nonverbal cues.
You lose the tone of voice, the smile, the hesitant body language that naturally softens an interaction.
So how do we compensate for that in text?
In a text or email, you have to be even more diligent about using these softening phrases. Since they can't hear your friendly tone, the words themselves have to carry all the warmth.
So no texting, come to cinema.
Oh, absolutely not. In text, that reads as cold and demanding. You need the, hey, how's your week? Would you be up for a movie? The exclamation points and the pleasantries are doing the work your facial expressions would normally do.
That makes a lot of sense. And what about when you've already said yes, but something comes up? The guide includes scripts for politely delaying or canceling confirmed plans, which is like advanced level anxiety for most people.
Oh, canceling is universally stressful. But the exact same principles apply. Gratitude, soft reason, alternative.
How does it look in practice?
You might text, I am so sorry, I was really looking forward to our lunch tomorrow, but I have a family emergency. Can we please reschedule for next week?
It's the apology, the reason, and the immediate attempt to rebuild the plan.
Exactly. It shows you aren't just flaking, you actually care about the connection.
The guide also emphasizes confirming time and place, just short follow-up scripts.
Because clarity prevents anxiety.
Right. Just a quick text saying, great, see you at the Starbucks on Main Street at 2 p.m.
It locks the plan in place and reassures both parties.
You know, I want to point out something really profound about this for the listener. Think about how mastering this polite no, or the polite cancellation, actually transforms your ability to say yes.
That is a brilliant observation.
When, with absolute certainty that you possess the linguistic tools to respectfully decline an offer without causing offense, the sheer panic of receiving an invitation vanishes.
The fear of being invited out is often just the fear of being trapped.
Exactly. The social pressure is completely removed on both sides. You aren't trapped by their question, and they aren't trapped by your answer. You're both just two autonomous adults freely navigating your options.
Using careful language to respect each other's boundaries while exploring the potential for connection.
It takes the terror out of making plans. You can approach socializing with a sense of curiosity rather than dread.
And that ultimately is the immense value of analyzing these seemingly simple conversational guidelines. It presents a holistic 360-degree view of the invitation process.
The whole life cycle of a plan.
Exactly. It recognizes that making friends isn't a unilateral conquest where one person drags another into an activity. It is a mutual agreement.
Now, to make sure this is all sticking, the guide features a 3-round social quiz. It's an interactive Q&A where the learner has to quickly provide the right rapid-fire reaction.
Quick reactions are so important for fluency.
Right, those brief, sounds good, or maybe next time phrases that keep a conversation moving. Let's do a fast version for the listener. I'm going to throw out 3 scenarios, and you, the listener, just mentally fill in the blank with how you'd respond. Ready?
This is great practice.
Round 1, someone says, let's meet at 6 p.m. Your quick reaction to agree is?
You'd say, sounds good, or perfect.
Round 2, someone invites you out, but you can't make it and want to leave the door open. Your quick reaction is?
Maybe next time.
Round 3. You want to check if your friend has time this weekend before suggesting a hike. Your pre-check phrase is?
Are you free this weekend?
Boom. If you can pull those out on the fly, you are navigating social English like a pro.
It's all about having those phrases queued up in your mind so anxiety doesn't take over.
Exactly. By exploring how to invite indirectly, how to use pre-checks, and how to decline politely and collaboratively, we're outlining a comprehensive toolkit for managing social comfort.
It acknowledges that friction is inevitable whenever 2 human beings interact.
Right, friction happens.
But it provides the exact linguistic phrases needed to lubricate those interactions, ensuring that the gears of social connection turn smoothly, rather than grinding to a painful halt.
It's really about taking care of each other conversationally. It's empathy manifested in grammar.
I love how you put that. Empathy manifested in grammar.
Okay, let's take a breath and look back at the incredible journey we've been on during this deep dive. We started by looking at a brief set of notes on English phrasing for beginners, but we uncovered so much more.
We really did.
We started with that universal, sometimes painful paradox, the deep desire to make friends, constantly battling the paralyzing fear of sounding too direct or facing rejection.
We then looked closely at the absolute danger of the command approach. We dissected Come to Cinema with Me and explored how an imperative structure causes visceral friction by ignoring the other person's agency.
And threatening their autonomy.
Exactly. We discussed how that directness, while fine for established best friends, is a critical misstep when trying to form new bonds, especially in American and British cultures.
From there, we examined the solutions. We saw how shifting just a few words to, "Would you like to go to the cinema?" softens the entire ask.
It transforms a rigid demand into a respectful offering by utilizing the hypothetical nature of the word would. It centers the other person's comfort.
And we also uncovered the highly strategic maneuver of the pre-check. Are you free this Saturday? We explored how this acts as the perfect social buffer, allowing you to test the waters of availability without risking the sting of a direct personal rejection.
And we noted the importance of following that up quickly with a genuine offer to avoid making it feel like a trap.
Right. And finally, we explored the crucial necessity of the polite refusal. We realized that learning how to say no gracefully, with gratitude, a soft reason, and a future alternative is not the opposite of making friends.
No, it's a fundamental pillar of maintaining those friendships when immediate plans don't align. It removes the pressure and keeps the door open for next time.
So to wrap this all up into something actionable, the guide ends with a fast checklist, a 3-step action plan for listeners to start practicing immediately.
I think everyone could use a checklist.
Step 1, practice the pre-check. Use "Are you free?" before you ever make a pitch. Step 2, memorize the soft ask. Would you like to? Step 3, have your polite refusal formula ready. I'd love to, but...
If you master those 3 steps, your social confidence will skyrocket.
So with all of this laid out, what does this actually mean for you, the listener, right now as you go forward into your week?
I believe it means recognizing that language is far more than just a utilitarian system for exchanging raw logistical information. It is a highly sensitive, nuanced instrument for managing social comfort, establishing safe boundaries, and building relationships.
It's not just data transfer.
Right. The phrases we've analyzed today aren't just vocabulary words on a page for English learners. They are the architectural blueprints for safe, successful human connection. They allow us to navigate the often treacherous waters of social vulnerability with a reliable map and compass.
By understanding the why behind the words, we can foster deeper, more comfortable connections with everyone we meet.
Absolutely.
The architectural blueprints for safe connection. I think that perfectly encapsulates it. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Okay, let's hear it.
We've talked extensively about how the fear of sounding too direct, or the fear of a blunt rejection, can stop us from reaching out to people we genuinely find interesting. So I want you to ask yourself, how many potential lifelong friendships have been lost to the ether simply because neither person knew how to comfortably ask, "Are you free this Saturday?"
Oh, wow, that's a heavy thought.
Think about the sliding doors of your own life. Think about the acquaintances you wished had become more. Could mastering these few, incredibly simple grammatical shifts, moving from a demand to an offering, learning to buffer your requests, and knowing how to politely decline, fundamentally change the trajectory of your entire social life?
It really could.
This has been such an eye-opening discussion. Before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with the 3-step action plan mentioned in our sources. Step 1, practice the pre-check by asking, "Are you free?" before making a pitch. Step 2, memorize the soft ask using "Would you like to?" And Step 3, always have your polite refusal formula, gratitude, a soft reason, and an alternative, ready to go.
I love that. It really shows that language is more than just data transfer. It's empathy manifested in grammar. By using these architectural blueprints for safe connection, we can turn what feels like a social ambush into a collaborative offering.
Exactly. Don't let the fear of being too direct stop you from finding your community. Try out these phrases this week and see how they transform your interactions. Thanks for tuning in to Leo's Daily English. Keep observing, keep exploring the nuances, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.
Bye, everyone.